little bit of a replay on what we have Photoshop open. We went under File, New, and right here we named this sprite, or this file, not this sprite, 1161. We changed the preset from default to web, so we want to be on web preset. And the reason of that is just to get the right dimensions for our projects. So this is still plenty big for a sprite actually, but it should be enough to where we can put together a bunch of sprites in one place and then utilize them in App Inventor, which I'll have a video about that later too. So 8x6 at 72 pixels per inch resolution, color mode 8-bit, and again 8-bit is going to get you about 256 colors roughly. So it's just the bit size of it. We're going to go ahead and press OK on here. And here we go, we have this white background. Now another thing that I showed you is that you can click this layer twice. So if you click the background layer twice right here, you can press OK there. That unlocks it, which allows you to erase the background of the layer, revealing the transparency. So step one, create the document. So again, a couple things that I did was you can erase it with the eraser tool. Another way that I do it is I go to select all or Command A, as you're noticing right there, and I can just press delete. So you just press the delete key, right? Let me have you guys the keyboard up here so you guys can see that as well. So I just press the delete key, that one right there, to delete objects. Alright, so say you messed up, right, and you didn't want to delete everything. There's this history palette toolbar up here next to the colors, and that allows you to go back as many steps as needed, all the way to, I think it's 25 steps for the default. You can change those on their preferences if you're interested, but usually it's, I think, 25 steps that you can have on there. If you break it, so if things just kind of go away like that, and you don't know what happened to it, you totally broke it, you're missing even your history palette, right? Like this, right? You broke it. There's no way to fix it. You're stuck with it. Just kidding. What you would do is you would go under this drop down under Essentials, and you want to go Reset Essentials. Once you do that, everything comes back the way it should be. So kind of useful there in case you break it, right? Not a big deal. So one thing that I was showing you guys is how to make a drawing with a stencil, right? So if you wanted to make a sprite with a stencil, I like to use the, sorry, where's my face? There we go. I like to use the Lasso tool. Lasso tool is really helpful for stenciling things out. I find it quite useful. And another way that you can see the Lasso tool right now is just like a little button on there. But if you wanted to show it as a kind of like this cursor where you have the target practice, right? You can press the caps key, so the one that keeps the capitalized caps lock. So again, on your keyboard, it looks sort of like this one right here. That's a caps lock, I guess, next to the A. I click it by mistake very often. What you want to do is just start to create a sprite. So if I'm going to make an eye, right, that's going to be my sprite. It's going to be bouncing around. Maybe I want more of a circle. You can definitely use the circle tools for that. Stay away from using shapes. Shapes are a little bit different. They have different properties. So I would advise you to stay with everything that's a selection. Nothing wrong with shapes, just they behave a little bit differently in Photoshop. So if you want to make shapes, make them from here. Okay. So here we have a circle. If you press the Shift key, as you can see in my digital keyboard, you can make a perfect circle. If you want to zoom in, you can do Command plus to zoom in, and then you can press the space bar to pan around your artwork. So Command plus zooms you in, hold the space bar to pan around, and you can see the marching ants right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop some color into here. Two ways to do it. You can do it with a paintbrush. Just kind of paint. I can give you like a different color. You can switch the colors back and forward by pressing this little clicker right here. Right? If you double click, you can get different colors. I'm using the brackets to resize my brush. Again, my goal is to create an eye right here. Looks more like an olive. There you go. So there I have this eye looking thing. right? The green is a little bit funky, but you know, fair enough, fun. And what I was showing you guys is that you can use the smudge tool to kind of smudge things out a little bit too, which is kind of fun sometimes. Just kind of play with that smudge, give it a little bit of dimension. You could also blend colors together, which is kind of cool. If you wanted this green and then the pink to have a little bit more of a organic feel to it, and even changing the eye a little bit, you can do that. See, automatically it already makes it look so creepy. Alright, so there I have my eye, really creepy. Again, it's selected, so it won't let me draw outside. Okay, so it's not broken, it just won't let you draw outside. Have to my notes there. Man, everything's crazy right now. Great. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna deselect. So I'm gonna go to select, deselect. And what if I want to see all of my artwork, right? I'm zoomed in, or say you make a mistake and you zoom way in to where you can see the pixels, right? Two ways to do it. You can press Command and the number 0 to zoom all the way out. Another way to do this, if you go View and you're gonna go Fit on Screen. So either way is fine. Command 0 or Fit on Screen is what you want to use to zoom all the way out. Okay, so I have this eye. This might be the sprite that I'm going to be using, right? So I don't want to export this whole document. So there's two ways of exporting things. First way of doing it is by cropping it. So here's the crop tool right here. And you would just adjust it, kind of like Instagram, right? When you adjust and crop things to their size. I'm just gonna adjust the cropping right here. Now it's a little bit more, probably fit it, because we don't want to waste that space. It's gonna be empty anyways. And you notice that I don't have a white background, I have a checkboard background, which is what's telling me that it's transparent. So really, really useful to use transparency so that when we import into App Inventor, it's not like this weird white background thing, right? Like a square. We want it to be more of a circular shape for this. So then I press Enter, so I just press Return, right? And I reshaped it to this. So that's one way to do it. But what about if you have a lot of different sprites, right? What if you have two of these guys and they're a little bit different from each other, right? You have another creature here, and this creature is again completely a different color altogether. So let me just drop in some crazy stuff here, so you guys can kind of see what's going on with it. Let me try linear line. No, this won't work. Alright, I was trying to make it fancy, but I'm not really doing a good job of making it fancy. So I'm just gonna change it from here, just so that I can show that it's two different things, right? I'm just changing that out. I'm going to play with those as well. They're pretty cool. Confusing, but they're pretty cool. They're like Instagram filters. Alright, so now I have my two different shapes, and these are the two that I'm going to export into App Inventor. Now the problem is that I have two sprites in one document, which in a Photoshop document is fine. Another thing that I should advise you to do is to save often. So you can never save often enough. So you want to press Save. And again, you want to leave it somewhere where you can find it. So the desktop for me is not a good place because I have so much stuff in it. But for you guys, it might be a little bit better. Keep it PSD. That's a Photoshop file that allows you to edit it. When this comes up, just tell, yeah, sure, no worries. Chances are you'll only work on it here, so no worries about that. It's just to check if it's work and compatible with other versions of Photoshop. So we have our two sprites, and what I want to be able to do is to export them, right? So now the part that I'm thinking about is you've used the Lasso tool. We're going to create some art here for, oops. Or create some sprites. 5. Extract them. Okay, so now we need to extract the sprites and make them look actually legitimate, right? So what we're gonna do with extracting the sprites is I'm actually gonna use this really cool thing called a slicer. So underneath the crop tool, you gotta press and hold it down. So you press and hold the mouse button down. You wanna go to the slice tool. So it's this X-Acto knife, and the way it works is you just select the shape that you want to cut out, and the best way to do it is you select it, you hold your mouse down, press the spacebar, and that allows you to move that square around in case you didn't make a good selection. Once you let go, you commit to that selection. So once you let go, it's like it cuts it and it puts all of these grid lines all over the place, which is good. But if you make a mistake, it's the end of the world. It's not really. You could always resize all of the slices that you make. So say I cut a little bit into this one, I can resize it just a bit. Okay. We're also going to slice the other eye. It's the same method as well. And again, if you make a mistake, you can still move that square around. There we go. So I have the two eyes. And you notice that this one has a number 3. This one has a number 5. One thing I like to do personally is to give them names right now. So if you press and hold the command key, so I'm just holding it down, I can double click on one of those slices and call it Sprite 116, you know, little dash I1. Great. Press OK. Same thing on the second one. Sprite I2. So now I have an I1 and an I2. It shows me the dimensions here, so this is going to be 387, 107. Those are the X and Y coordinates. Doesn't really matter for us right here. The width and height, however, do matter. So it's 143, 143, so perfect square. Those are important to kind of remember because we're going to use those in App Inventor. You can tell this sprite is 143, 143. And remember, if you want to know the size of that, I like to use the screenshot capture. And you can kind of get a view on how big that is on the top left of my screen. All right, so it's about, yeah. And it's actually pretty good right now the way it is from Photoshop. It's showing us a pretty good push on what that looks like. So I'm going to press OK there. And again, to kind of see that, you can actually go to, let's see here. Here on screen, there is like an actual size, like pixel size. I can't find it for the life of me right now. Screen mode, screen size. I have no clue. I don't know what I'm doing here today. It's craziness. Good. Okay, so it's pretty good size right here. So I renamed them. I got I1 again by pressing the command key, I1 and I2. And now let's extract these guys out. So I'm gonna go to File. I'm not gonna do Save. I'm gonna do Save for Web. And the Save for Web menu just gives you an immense amount of options, and it's really useful when you have multiple things in your artwork to slice them out. Photoshop can actually be used as a web design tool. You can Photoshop can generate a website for you, which is great. But that's not really what we're gonna use it for. We're gonna use the functionality of that. So we're gonna click Save for Web, and this menu comes up. It shows you the slices that you made. It should show you the names if you select them or if you click them, right? There they are. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at this menu settings on the right. So there's different presets that you can use. We're gonna stay away from the JPEGs. We don't want to use any of the JPEGs because those don't have what? You guessed it. They don't have a transparency setting, where the PNGs or the GIFs have a transparency. I'm kind of a fan of GIFs. They've been around forever. They're really compatible. So I'm going to stay with the GIF. And I'm just going to leave it at GIF 32 on 30. It seems to work well. See, it's an 8-bit, so it has 256 colors. And right here on the left is giving me some stats. That is kind of downloading 1 second on a 1 megabit per second speed. Now, if they're working on a really old phone or computer, it's going to take about 10 seconds to load. So it kind of gives you a view of how fast something can download. So because it's going to be loaded on the app, we're not stressing too much about that. And I'm just going to go with GIF 32. Okay? So it's using 32 colors. And if you like the colors on your picture, you can go up to 256. That's fine. And it shows you what colors are going to be used. So very, very interesting. And again, that changes with the bit, number, etc. All right, so I have a GIF. I'm going to max out at 256 colors. And I'm going to press Save. Now, watch this. Be really careful here. So it's going to save them somewhere. Hopefully it's your desktop or your documents. You want to make sure that you're using the images only. Images only. keep the settings default, and you want to save, you know what I should have done, select the slices, otherwise you're going to have a little white spaces. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this guy. I'm going to click this slice, and click this slice. How am I selecting them here? What's going on? I should be selecting them. Let's see. Cancel. I think we're actually okay here. We just, I'm gonna try to do a save all user slices. I have no clue what that will do. Let's try it out. So I'm gonna save the all user slices. Saved. Let's take a look at our desktop and see if they saved. So I'm going into my Finder. I'm going to the desktop. There's images. You'll see this folder name images. Ta-da! Oh no! Look at them. I have a GIF and a PNG. So what I should have done better is when I was saving them, I should have pressed on each and every single one of them, and I should have told the program to save them both as a GIF by either selecting them all or by going one by one and selecting them, right? So my mistake, but at least we'll know what happens when we export them out and show them into App Inventor. So that's all you're going to need to turn in for 116. Actually, you're not going to turn it in. You're going to be using this ones for 117. But this is what you're going to need. Kind of like the sounds, right? Where we had the sounds and we used them for 115. You're going to need your sprites. So it's going to be a big part of your project. So there you have it. There's my two sprites. And they have a transparency in the background. How can you tell? If you double click them and open them with preview usually, let's see what happens when we open them with preview. And then look at them and make sure they don't have a white space around them. All right, that's it for this one.